When David Cameron knows that when he leaves office he's going to work for Greensill and get paid £10 million in 1 year, when he's making his decisions, do you think he speaks to the guys at Greensill who are going to pay him £10 million? So in the case of doctors, dentists, universities, but also economists, also politicians, you are in a competition. The politicians can make a certain amount of money working for you, and they can make a certain amount of money working for the rich. And when the rich are super rich, and your average taxpayer is increasingly poor, it gets harder and harder for you to compete with them. And I think this is the reason why we saw for long periods of time really high amounts of corruption in poor countries, because the local people of those countries can't afford to pay their politicians very much, whereas extremely wealthy people in other countries can pay these politicians enormous amounts to basically give the resources of those countries to these wealthy people. And I think this thing, which has been happening in poor countries for a long time, you know, if you speak to people from Sub-Saharan Africa, Latin America, a lot of places in Asia, that they've been seeing this kind of corruption for a long time. In the West, we've been relatively protected by that for a reasonable amount of time because we've had a wealthy taxpayer and we haven't had these super wealthy foreign billionaires who can influence our politics. As inequality has increased, the taxpayer, ordinary families have become poorer, the super rich have become richer, and you have basically found yourself in the same situation that Latin Americans and Africans have been in for a long period of time. You cannot compete anymore for ownership of your politicians with the super rich. And I think this is this classic example of why inequality matters for you. Because if you allow the super rich to get even richer and you allow the middle class to lose their assets, they will increasingly